The air in the car was thick with the scent of rain-soaked leather, and my own ragged breathing. My hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles pale, as I stared through the windshield at the diner across the street. There she was, Lila, her auburn hair catching the neon glow of the sign, laughing with him. Her ex, Marcus, leaned closer, his hand brushing hers on the tabletop. My heart lurched, a sickening thud against my ribs, as if it could shatter the glass between us. She'd asked for a break 2 weeks ago, her voice soft but resolute, saying she needed space to find herself. And now here she was found, in the arms of a past I thought we'd buried. The rain streaked down, blurring their figures, but not enough to erase the image burned into my mind. I wanted to storm in, to demand answers, to scream until the world made sense again. But my legs felt like lead, pinned by the weight of doubt and dread. Had I missed the signs? The late nights at work, the distracted glances, the way her smile never quite reached her eyes anymore? Or had I just been too blind, too trusting, to see what was unraveling? I replayed her words from that night, each one a shard in my chest. "It's not about you, Ethan," she'd said, her hands twisting in her lap. "I just need time to figure out who I am outside of us." I'd nodded, swallowing the ache, believing her because I loved her. Because I thought love meant trust, even when it hurt. Now watching her laugh with Marcus, that trust felt like a noose tightening around my throat. The diner's bell jingled faintly as a couple exited, their umbrellas blooming like dark flowers in the storm. I sank lower in my seat, my breath fogging the window. My phone buzzed on the passenger seat, a text from Lila. "Working late again. Don't wait up." The lie stung sharper than the betrayal itself. I'd only followed her tonight because of a gut feeling, a nagging unease after she'd left the house in a rush, her perfume lingering like a ghost. I hadn't planned to play detective, but the pieces were falling into place, each one heavier than the last. I remembered the early days, when Lila's laughter filled our tiny apartment, when we'd dance in the kitchen to songs only we knew. She'd tease me about my terrible cooking, her eyes bright with warmth. Marcus was a shadow then, a name mentioned in passing, a chapter closed. Or so she'd said. But there were moments, fleeting, dismissible, when her phone would light up with his name, and she'd brush it off. "Just catching up," she'd say, her voice too casual. I'd let it go, because doubt felt like a betrayal of my own. Now the diner's glow cast their silhouettes in sharp relief. Marcus's hand lingered on hers, and she didn't pull away. My chest burned, a cocktail of rage and heartbreak. I wanted to believe this was innocent, a misunderstanding I could laugh off later. But the way she tilted her head, the way her fingers curled around her coffee mug as if anchoring herself to the moment, it was too familiar. It was how she used to look at me. I forced myself to breathe, to think. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe this was just two old friends reconnecting. But the lie in her text gnawed at me, a splinter under my skin. I needed answers. But confronting her now would only shatter whatever fragile thread still held us together. Instead, I started the car, the engine's hum drowning out the storm for a moment, and drove home, each mile heavy with questions I wasn't ready to face. At home, the silence was deafening. Our apartment felt like a museum of our life together. Photos on the fridge, her scarf draped over the couch, the half-empty wine bottle from our last good night. I poured a glass, the liquid trembling in my hand, and sat at the kitchen table, staring at the clock. Midnight came and went. The wine turned bitter on my tongue. When Lila finally walked in at 1:17 a.m., her hair damp and her cheeks flushed, I was still at the table. She froze, her keys clattering to the floor. "Ethan? Why are you still up?" "Couldn't sleep," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "How was work?" Her eyes flickered, just for a second, but it was enough. "Fine. Busy." She turned toward the bedroom, but I caught her wrist, gentle but firm. "Lila," I said, my voice low. "Where were you tonight?" She pulled back, her expression a mix of guilt and defiance. "I told you I was working." "Don't." The word came out sharper than I meant, and she flinched. "I saw you. At the diner. With Marcus." The air between us cracked, like ice under too much weight. Her lips parted, but no words came. For a moment, I thought she'd deny it, spin another lie. Instead, she sank into a chair, her hands covering her face. Ethan, it's not what you think. Then tell me what it is, I said, my voice breaking. Because right now, it looks like you're throwing us away for someone you swore was in the past. She looked up, tears glistening in her eyes. I didn't mean for this to happen. I ran into him a few weeks ago, and we started talking. It was innocent at first, I swear. But then, she trailed off, her words choking on the truth. Then what? I pressed, my heart pounding. You decided you missed him? That I wasn't enough. No. Her voice cracked, raw and desperate. It's not about you not being enough. It's about me not knowing who I am anymore. I've been so lost, Ethan, and Marcus. He reminds me of a time when I felt free. Her words hit like a punch, stealing my breath. So you lied to me. You asked for a break, but you were already running back to him. I didn't mean to hurt you, she whispered. I just needed to figure things out. I stood, pacing to keep the anger from spilling over. And what did you figure out, Lila? That you want him? That you want to throw away 7 years for a fling? It's not a fling, she said, and the quiet conviction in her voice stopped me cold. I don't know what it is, but it's not that simple. The room spun. I wanted to scream, to beg, to pull her into my arms and make her remember us. Instead, I grabbed my keys and walked out, the door slamming behind me. The rain had stopped, leaving the world slick and glistening under streetlights. I drove aimlessly, the city a blur of neon and shadows, until I found myself outside the diner again. It was closed now, the windows dark, but I could still see them there, their laughter haunting me. Hours later, I returned home. Lila was gone, her scarf missing from the couch, a note on the table in her careful handwriting. I need time, Ethan. I'm sorry. No promises, no explanations, just absence. I sank to the floor, the note crumpling in my fist. The betrayal wasn't just her with Marcus. It was the lie she'd let me live in, the trust she'd shattered. But as the anger faded, a colder truth settled in. I'd been so focused on her betrayal that I hadn't seen my own failures. How I'd ignored her quiet cries for help, how I'd let routine replace passion. The next morning, I found Marcus's number in her phone, left carelessly on the counter. My thumb hovered over the call button, torn between confrontation and closure. Instead, I typed a message. Meet me at the diner. Noon. We need to talk. As I hit send, my heart raced, not with anger, but with something sharper, resolve. I wouldn't let this end with her walking away. Not without a fight. Not without knowing why. The diner's neon sign loomed in my mind, a beacon for truths I wasn't sure I was ready to face. But I'd be there waiting, for whatever came next.